start off with saying thanks for showing up. We really appreciate it. A little bit of background on us. We're all third-year BCom students. This is Darren, Steve, Hayden, and Aaron. And we have entered into an Airbus competition that's asking us to do a sustainable innovation in the aviation industry. So we have gone past the first round. There were 1,600 teams from around the world. And now we are one of the top 100. So we're in the semifinals now. And yeah, we're really excited about it and hoping to get some valuable input from you guys. And I'll pass it to Darren, who will talk to you about our idea.
Okay, so what we did is it actually originated during the during Link Week. And we came up with it in a couple minutes and just sort of saw an opportunity for it once this competition came up. So it was sort of a great way to sort of take an idea we already had and expand it a bit. And the idea we came up with was using electric motors inside the landing gear wheels of airplanes. That way they can taxi to and from the runway without use of their turbine engines. Because when we did some research on it, they're just extremely inefficient on the ground. They're made to run at 30,000 feet. So they actually burn about 1,200 liters of fuel going to and from the runway for each flight. So then on like the flight, that can be a considerable amount of fuel. So as business students, we saw it as a great business opportunity that you can save a lot of money. Jet fuel is definitely one of the highest costs within the airline industry. And then also from a sustainability point of view, that's a lot of carbon, as well as into the future. Carbon emission credits and stuff like that are only going to get more expensive as more countries take advantage of that. So we see it as just a great potential that we can see it as a business, good business idea, as well as making sense from a sustainability point of view, and that we're making some sort of triple bottom line initiatives that Airbus could use to help with the goodwill and the reputation of their company, especially when they're creating new aircraft like the A380. It can definitely help generate some more capital from people who want to invest, that they want sustainable investments. So that's kind of where our idea came from.
Yeah, so like Steve said, we've made it into the second round, the semifinals, and at this point we have to fully expand our idea. For the first round, we gave kind of a brief overview of each components, what the kind of general benefits would be, and any kind of further research that would be required to take this to the next step. So during the second stage, we have to provide a full overview of everything, detailed explanations, and then include some technical diagrams, which we kind of thought we might use more. I mean, we're not engineering students. We don't have the technical know-how that a lot of these tech schools will have, so we're not going to be able to compete on that basis.
Can't just go to the engineering faculty and get them to help you.
We're definitely, we'd like to, and that's kind of part of the reason we were wondering if you guys would have anyone that you thought might be particularly well suited for helping us out for this kind of thing, because there are parts of it that we just don't know. I mean, how much does an electric generator weigh, and like how much does that compare with the fuel savings and stuff like that. So we there's going to be some technical stuff that we're going to need help with, and we also have Stefan, our mentor.
So Absul Suleiman is an aerospace engineer. He was former associate dean of engineering, but he's just big block of multi-millions of dollars. They've got a facility out of the airport and they're building airplanes out there. He would be the person I would contact if he would know if he's got some students or something that might be help building out there.
So there we go. That's perfect. That's exactly what we're doing. And then of course we've also got our Airbus mentor for this stage, and that's Stefan, or whatever it is. Stefan. Anyways, he's helping us, and he's able to answer more technical questions with the actual aircraft themselves. But he did indicate to us that he really doesn't have an extensive business know-how of things, which is where all of you come into play, and our professors and the general faculty. This is where we need to pick your brains, like come up with things to try and thwart our idea and try and make it stronger, so that when we can increase our chances to make it to the next round, which is the top 5 teams advance to the finals, and they all present in person to the head of Airbus and the competition and their full judging committee. They haven't announced who it will be exactly yet, but that's held in, I believe it's June 5th of this year. And so they fly us over to Paris, we present, and then there's the awarding after that. So our initial feedback that we got from Airbus was really positive. They seem to really like the idea, and they're challenging us to really come up with, okay, what are going to be the business implications? What kind of side, we're like, this is really cool, it'd be cool if we make it, but now that we have it, it's kind of like, wow, this is actually gonna happen. So, we wanted to talk to you guys beforehand so that we could kind of get an idea of what your thoughts were, any questions, any potential problems you could see arising for our project prior to us really diving right in, so that we don't start putting a lot of work and then find out that something's a problem and then we're gonna have to backtrack. So trying to minimize that as much as we can, because it's pretty clear that Stefan indicated that they expect a lot of work from us. So.
Yeah, so I'll just sort of talk a little bit about what our strategy is. Just like Aaron said, we're business students, not technical students. And out of it, like I took a look at, about 95% were technical schools. Like last year's winners, they created a sort of synthetic weave made of bamboo that they can use to make lightweight aircraft parts. So like, we have no idea how to get anything close to that. So we're definitely coming from the business point of view. And what we proposed in our first round that they really liked is that instead of having it just sort of an innovation within Airbus, they want to sort of create a different business model, almost like an open source, where after they create it, have some patented parts within the system that they can now license it off, so that Boeing can use it for their airplanes, McDonnell Douglas can use it for their airplanes, Cessna, like it will work for any size airplane from small 2-seat commuters up to large cargo planes. We sort of saw that there, you get a little bit of economies of scale where we could bring down some of the development costs by licensing it out, but then also it creates sort of a new business line within Airbus that they can go and now be one of the suppliers to Boeing. So we definitely looked at it that way there to sort of make it financially feasible. Because once we got into like the first round and we did a little bit of research, there is some technology that is similar that I'll let Hayden talk about shortly. So we sort of saw that the reason they didn't do it is because they didn't have the volume needed to make it financially feasible.
So, what do you envision as being potentially unique about this motor that is going to allow Airbus to license it to other people?
Really not a whole lot. There's nothing that we can even think of at this point that is really proprietary to it, besides maybe something integrated within the navigation system of how they're going to navigate through the taxiways and skirtways. But as far as the actual technology, it already exists and has been around.
So why I'm kind of wondering about your strategy of trying to sell it on the basis of them being able to recoup some of their costs by licensing it to other people, because once they do this, Boeing can look at it and say, well, it's just an electric motor, I can do that too. So I'm not sure that strategic element is going to work for them.
Okay. The way we looked at it, we tried to go, because Boeing was actually the first one to do it, and they came up with a similar idea, but then they dropped it at the prototype stage because they didn't see it as financially feasible, because they didn't have the volume to do it. So we kind of saw is that Airbus takes this different business model as the first mover advantage kind of thing. They can do that, and it creates that barrier to entry where it kind of takes away the motivation for anyone else to do it, because if they're only going to do it, really, if Airbus can't get Boeing, it's not financially feasible, and if Boeing can't get Airbus, it's not financially feasible, because they make 67% of the market.
So that's my question, is why is it that Boeing was not able to make it financially feasible? Because Boeing is basically a comparable sized company as Airbus. And if they can't get to the volume to put it on enough planes to make it financially feasible, what's going to make Airbus
Their
able to do
system
that?
was different in one key way. What theirs was ground-based. It was basically, they called it a taxi bot. It's kind of sort of steal away from me as far. But it was just like an autonomous robot that follows tracks within the runway. You can hook up to the plane, bring it back. But then that needed all the airports to buy into it and stuff like that, which is where they realized they had no market.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, so what we think is, you go take the technology, you put it so that it goes with the plane instead of with the airport.
Well, why couldn't you make a robot that instead of doing it to like follow the paint and everything on the runway to be automated, why not just have it where when the plane's on the ground, the pilot's controlling the robot, when the plane's in the air, the pilot is controlling the thrusters that's on the plane?
Yeah, I'm not sure why they sort of dropped it.
I mean, it seems like if you do that, then the infrastructure problem might go away. Another question that I have too, that kind of comes up with this, is when you talk about airport buy-in, have you guys looked at like regulations, airport regulations? Like, are there things that require Because it seems like there might be another reason why they're using the jet thrusters to taxi out there. So for like example, if there's something that's going to cause the engine to stall, you might be able to see that during the taxi time. So I don't know if there's any regulations in place either. That would be another question that I have. That say it has to be the jet engines bringing you to the runway.
No, there isn't. Talking to Stefan, who's kind of the expert, what he said is because of the way the system works, if you have a failure where the engines won't start, the plane won't be able to take off. So it's kind of, you'd much rather it fail on the ground than in the air, so he doesn't see any problem with it that way. As far as sort of regulatory and stuff like that, he also said don't be too concerned with that because a lot of these are very prototype type ideas that have really no capability to actually make it to market. You can be as creative as you want.
The advantage of having on the plane is that you don't necessarily need buttons involved here.
That's right.
Yeah.
You take
So,
it with you.
the question I would have though is, the weight of these planes is substantial. There's a big difference between the power needed to get it moving versus the power needed to keep it moving. So it strikes me that your design, whatever it's going to end up with, is going to need to kick in while the plane is still in motion. Because as soon as it stops, you're not going to have enough power in any electric motor to be able to move it forward again. Or
So
something.
almost like a hybrid or
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I kind of
Prius, yeah.
picture it is like when you have a Prius and you have a computer screen, how it constantly changes back and forth between its hybrid part and then fuel. So even though you might not get 100% no turbine use, if you're able to minimize it though substantially, then it still is going to offer massive fuel savings. So because like you said, they are extremely heavy. You got to get it moving somehow.
And
Did you
your
say-
idea is to start it right from not just from when it lands, but
Yeah,
out on
to taxi back
So
again.
it starts
It's
with
for both. And I've done a little bit of research, not that I've got like for actually, it's actually a lot of torque in electric engines. The kind of the base of the technology that we took it from is trains. How trains work is it's a diesel generator running electric motors in each wheel. So the amount of weight that they can move is quite substantial. It's really just a matter of changing the
They're
anchors.
heavy, you're not going to be able to fly around with them. So, it's just,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking the scale that, your trade-off is you need something that's light enough that it's not going to,
make it.
when you're flying your 15,000 miles, it's not going to take all of your savings away because you've added weight to the airplane.
Yeah, and it's definitely a lot of weight that.
Who makes the landing gear? I mean, is that something that Airbus makes themselves, or do they buy it from somebody
No,
else?
it's not, they buy
There's a
from
separate manufacturer, yeah. There's a couple different manufacturers, and I think.
So the landing gear people are probably in the best position to actually take advantage of this innovation. So you might think about your strategy then in terms of Airbus, how would they work, so how might they work with their suppliers to be able to do this? Or are you envisioning this being kind of a retrograde thing where you install it on the plane afterwards, or it would be something that would be built into the landing gear before the plane is built?
Well, we definitely talk about retrofitting planes, but I think for Airbus specifically, a lot of where they're gonna see revenue from this is actually when they sell new planes at air shows, because if they have this technology that Boeing or other companies don't have, things we've seen in the last couple of years at the air shows and defense and whatnot, that they get significant orders if they can show that their planes have significant.
Well, a lot of times, a few $100 on a flight can mean the difference. I mean, the margins are so thin on an airline that a few $100, like $300 can make the difference between making a profit on a flight and not making a profit on a flight. And so, I don't know what's 400 liters. You said it's 400 liters. So they burn-
1,200
Oh, 1,200 liters.
1,200 liters, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, how much do
I
they
think
pay
that might
for
be
it?
$1,200.
How much is a liter of jet fuel?
About $2.90.
So they're paying 2,400. So if you can reduce the, I mean, even if you did something like what Rock, yeah, even if it's more of a hybrid kind of thing where you're just reducing it from 1,200 to even 800,
Yeah, it's a substantial amount.
that now makes 10% more flights profitable.
That's if you're using the same landing gear manufacturer, you definitely still do have the possibility to retrofit it, and maybe that's where Airbus could sort of generate an electricity income. I don't know what manufacturer Boeing uses for their landing gear, but if Airbus is able to sort of work that into their system, it could create more revenue that way. Because there's tons of planes already in the air right now. So, because they've got a lot of A320s out there, and A340s, I think, are their two most
strengthen your argument if you could also put another plank in your strategic platform. I mean, right now you have the kind of the economizing plank, you know, that's going to save you money. You've got some technical feasibility issues to deal with there. But if you could also argue that they might actually increase their business, right? The customers actually care. I mean, would I choose Airbus over some other airline if I thought they were doing more to try to protect, you know, the environment and be more conscious about it? Could you brand, you know, this, you know, this electronic assistance in some way that, you know, it could be like Intel Inside, where I can say, well, you know, it's, you know, Airbus with whatever, you know, and, you know, to be able to, you know, to demonstrate that, you know, to the customers that this is, you know, Airbus's attempt to, you know, one of the things they're doing to be more environmentally conscious. It might be interesting to see whether or not customers actually care.
I know, well, whether the customers, my gut reaction to that was no. The customers probably, like, if I'm you know, going on vacation with my family, the only thing I'm gonna care about is the price. But then I started thinking about it. I know, like, at the Gustavson School, Basma is working really hard to make our business school carbon neutral. And the only way that we're gonna do that, and in order to do that, she's had to calculate she's had to include in those calculations the carbon footprint of every student that goes on exchange and every faculty member that goes on trips for conferences and presentations and research and things like that. And that actually is like 75% of our carbon footprint. And so for organizations, if they're looking at buying offsetting, you know, carbon credits, which is what the Gustavson School is going to have to do, or you can fly with an airline that has a lower carbon footprint, then, you know, that might be an angle to put that in.
I think more
Whether the
airlines
customer-
are, right, they're conscious of that, the
Yeah.
customer. Because Airbus is not selling to me, they're selling to
They're selling to
British
the ones
Airways
that are-
or
Right.
Canada. And the companies certainly do
Yeah,
more and
and
more.
like, there's billions of dollars spent on lobbying against the aircraft industry because of the amount of carbon emissions they produce.
Right.
So like, I saw it more from like the investor point of view, where people are more willing to invest in that company if they see more potential return just on the fact that it has that full responsibility, that you're not having to worry about some of these environmental stewards that are really putting a lot of pressure on them, so.
Did you quantify what the airlines in Europe have to pay for carbon credits, or?
We didn't know.
Because I think they do have to pay.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, because there was a big fight between the U.S. aerospace industry and I think the European Commission about whether U.S. airlines would have to pay for these carbon offsets. I can't remember if it was in the form of a tax or having to pay for offsets or whatever. But I think you might, in terms of quantifying the savings, you should look at what the airlines are subject to paying and try to calculate how much they would save in terms of offsets or carbon taxes or whatever it is.
Now, one thing we have is we have to write a 5,000 word essay plus a 3-minute video for our next submission. But as well, we get 4 sort of appendix documents. Almost everyone else uses it for like technical diagrams and stuff like that. Well, I was wondering, is there like software where we can run basically like a business simulation through, where you can kind of put in some of the metrics, some of the assumptions, and it will give you sort of a projection based on, okay, is this something we have access to in business school?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Because I think that's what we'd like to use for one of ours, so.
Have you found any other designs besides that robot?
Yeah, okay, so basically, like, with the existing technology, there's TaxiBot, which is the one that Owen was working on. The one that's really become dominant is WheelTub, and so it's a subsidiary of a company called Borealis Exploration, and the technology that they
It's a
developed,
subsidiary of who?
Borealis Exploration, and WheelTub is actually a subsidiary of Chorus Motors, which is a subsidiary of Borealis.
Okay.
And Chorus Motors developed the electric motor, and the motor that they actually developed, is really high torque at the start. So that's actually how they're able to get the airplane moving with the electric motor right from the basically the design is they have the electric motor and it's installed in the wheel and it's connected to the cockpit, and they have sort of a electronic system installed in the nose of the aircraft that's connected to the APU, the auxiliary power unit, and that's where the electric motor actually draws the power from, so that they don't have to have the engines on at all. They can just run from the APU. And so basically, they've actually done quite a lot of testing. They first tested it, I think, in Prague in 2010, and it's been really successful. They actually recently have signed letters of intent with KLM and a bunch of other airlines to retrofit planes with their technology. I think they're still waiting on FAA approval. So, but they do have, I think, like 258 orders for aircraft that they're looking. They have letters of signed intent to retrofit.
How is your concept different than that one?
How is ours? I think our technology is quite similar.
Yeah, the technology, theirs is just one really big electric motor only on the nose gear, and we're thinking more that it's smaller, lighter weight, and it's in each of the landing gear wheels, or at least the number needed to move each airplane. Theirs right now is only for the nose gear, and it's only compatible with certain planes, so they can't use them with any wide body plane right now. They can't use them with any of the heavier planes.
Yeah, they're mostly designed right now for the 737 and the A320, which are the most like highly used planes, but they are working on getting the technology available for all aircraft. But also, I think like the main thing that was different about ours was just that we wanted Airbus really to be taking on the technology and marketing it to the airlines like directly instead of retrofitting the planes, because like I said, like they only have like 258 orders already from airlines. Like they're not actually working with Airbus or working with it all anymore. So I think that was also one of the main things. Yeah.
Well, this was my point when I met with the group initially too. I guess maybe something to kind of think about as well is that my concern was is that they're not going to be able to come up with better technology because they're developers, they're not engineers, they're business students. And so, kind of my recommendation was to innovate more on the business model, to use existing technology, find out why it is that that the technology that was developed before, which seems to be working, why it is that the companies have failed to actually make money on it, and then innovate on that component instead of actually coming up with a new technology. And so that's what I'm trying to get at is if these technologies are already out there and they're starting and they look like they are feasible and they work and those kind of things, what's the flaw? Like what is it? I mean, it's one thing to come up with the innovation, it's another thing to come up with a business model to sell that. And so